Welcome to the Ethical Affiliate, the podcast that's all about living life on your own terms through the exciting world of ethical affiliate marketing. I'm your host, Ida.
And I'm Tim.
And in each episode, we'll be exploring the possibilities, strategies, and mindset shifts that can empower you to build a business that aligns with your values and allows you to design the life you've always dreamed of.
Join us as we share our journey and hear from industry experts and successful affiliate marketers who have embraced this new approach to business. Discover the strategies they use to navigate the ever-evolving digital landscape, build sustainable income streams, and most importantly, live life on their own terms.
So buckle up and get ready for a journey into the world of ethical affiliate marketing. This is the Ethical Affiliate, where we believe that living life on your own terms is not just a dream, it's a reality waiting to be created. Thanks for joining us, and let's dive in. Hello and welcome. Was that loud? That seemed a bit loud. Did that come across as loud? Welcome to the Ethical Affiliate. I'm Ida.
And I'm Tim. I think I can't hear. Sorry, what? No, that was fine.
I just felt that was really an almost overzealous introduction. It's like, whoa, we're on 3, 2, 1. The red light's on. We are the Ethical Affiliate, and welcome to episode number 14, where we're going to switch things up a little bit. Hey, isn't that right? Isn't that right, Mr. Green?
Yeah, we're going to do something completely, well, actually off the cuff. I was going to say off the cuff, and it's going to be off the cuff.
Completely off the cuff. I love that.
Just to make sure you're all clear.
Right. We don't know what's going to happen here.
Yes. You can tell already, really, can't you?
Look, we could get ourselves into some trouble.
And the reason we're doing that is because, what's the reason we're doing that? Because basically we've got a podcast where we're talking about affiliates, ethical affiliate marketing, but we feel that we also have a lot to offer that's not just about affiliate marketing. And so without getting off track too much with the scope of the podcast, we'd like to talk about other things as well. And so people get to know us, dear listening, get to know us a bit more, and also, find out a little bit about other things, which is the same thing, other things about our lives. And it's not just about the
podcast voice on Tim.
The potentially dry subject of ethical affiliate marketing.
Oh, that is very funny.
I wish I could do some product placement. And here, I know everything's.
Sorry, I love derailing your conversations.
That's all right. I'm done.
I'm good. I just jump on in.
One of the challenges with actually doing this, and let's talk about podcasting in general, is
having a reliable co-host.
No, not having a reliable co-host who doesn't fall off a chair, but she hasn't done that yet. No, it's all about, sometimes it's you kind of realise that people can't see you, or they can see you alternatively, and they might be doing something funny, but nobody can see.
Unfortunately, I forget that this blasted thing is on YouTube. Shit, Jesus.
Yeah, that's right. So we're on YouTube as well, and I think in general we forget that we're visible. More than the other. Well, I do. I forget that we're visible more than the other way around. Even though I'm looking at you and you're looking at me.
Yeah, I just forget that we're
going. But it isn't.
Scratch my ears, pick my nose. Good Lord.
So I'm going to start off the rant a little bit, not the rant so much, but briefly, I think I did mention a few weeks or last week that I had my laptop stolen. So hummed and hard and found a solution for that, and it was to basically buy. I really love Macs, and this is kind of what my story is about here. That I realised why I love the Mac system. Mm-hmm. And I started off many, many years ago on Windows machines and also Linux and all sorts of weird other stuff. And then I reluctantly went to Macs, and it was a struggle. It was a steep learning curve to start with, but then it was just like, this thing is beautiful. Mm. And so I've temporarily gone back to Windows because I could buy a $500 Windows machine, put it on Afterpay for $129 down payment until my insurance comes through. So this is not really a fascinating story so much, but just I realised that even now, possibly especially because we're talking about a $500 laptop, which is incredible when you think about it, that
I know, right?
There's a big difference. There's a big difference. The way it operates, the way the delays that go on, even the window, because the laptop's kind of the hardware is different to the software, but even the way the software works is just still, in my mind, after 40 something years in IT related stuff, really clunky. And it's just interesting. And people have this discussion about, oh, Apple's, it's a waste of money and all that. But you know what? Once you've gone into that system, it's really hard to go back. And so I guess I'm grateful that I've had that experience, and I'm grateful that I'm going to go back to Macs eventually, because everything just works beautifully. It just works.
Mac works with Mac. Yeah, I find Mac a better system. I'm a bit of a Mac girl myself. Yeah.
Hard to go back. And of course, I've got an iPhone. So everything now it's trying to talk to Windows, and they just still don't talk to each other very well.
Yeah, it's a bit like Coles and Woolies, or Aldi. Good, different.
That could be. And throw in Aldi as well. So anyway, that's where. Anyway, I'm grateful. I've got a system working up, running again, and working on an iPad or a tablet. Let's call it a tablet. That's a struggle. So I'm happy with that.
It's impossible to work for me. It is. I think for the younger generation, iPhones are the way to go, or phones are the way to go. Young kids that just look at their screen, their iPhone. They run their entire business on their iPhone.
Yeah.
And it's just like done.
I bought my first computer in 1984.
Oh my gosh.
So when people say young people, blah, 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 it's like, to me, it's like, I was looking at this stuff before they were even born. So, I get they're brought up with it, but, when you try and run a business off an iPhone, it's great. It's amazing. It's like the sort of stuff we used to look on, Dick Tracy talking on the phone and talking on the watch. That's all come to be, actually. Nevertheless, it's
yeah, isn't that interesting? We could go off on a tangent right there.
There are no tangents because we don't have a theme, so just follow the river. It is extraordinary where we are, and of course we all get very used to it, and ask Siri on our watch or whatever the system is we're using, and we kind of don't sit back sometimes and go, this is actually pretty phenomenal. Haven't got the shoe phone, but the watch phone is better. Maxwell
But
Smart.
you know what? I
I
think it's hilarious. Sorry, go on.
No, I was saying Maxwell Smart lost, Dick Tracy won.
Dick Tracy did win, although Maxwell Smart was a bit of a piss take.
Yes, he was. It was.
God love him.
Hilarious.
Is Don Adams still alive?
I don't know.
Quickly Google that.
Incredible.
Excuse me, virtual assistant. Can you please Google, is Don Adams still alive? I am starting a new podcast. Can I talk about that?
Of course.
I'm starting a podcast called Spooky Whispers. Woo!
Oh, you've got the theme music going and everything.
I know. That's going to be the intro music. I'm so excited. I am lining up my first interview in the next couple of days.
Yay.
Yeah, so obviously Spooky Whispers is about paranormal, which is just something that, oh God, I love it. I love ghosts and all that kind of spooky stuff. I absolutely love it and always have. And I've had a couple of experiences, but I know so many people that have had some really incredible paranormal experiences, and I just want them to be able to talk about it. And there's not enough Australian paranormal podcasts out there in the podcast world. There's a lot of stuff from overseas, but I think we here in Australia need a bit more of a selection, and like we've got some great ones. I can't remember their names. I'm sorry, guys. I promise I'll plug you next time as I talk more about mine. But I'm looking forward to starting that. I can't wait.
Awesome. So what's your interest? What's your interest? Like, what interests you in it?
I think the fact that it's all unknown and
Yeah.
mysterious, and so you know what it is. And I think this is very telling. It says a lot about who I am. It is out of this world. It's otherworldly, and I'm a bit of an otherworldly seeker by nature.
Yeah.
As much as I love, I mean, obviously we live in Earth and I love nature and everything, but there's something, ever since I was a child, I wanted more than just the physical world. Like the physical world was great and I loved it, but I was seeking something more. And to
Yeah.
me, the paranormal represents that really kind of unknown territory, that unknown stuff. And like I personally, I've had a couple of experiences, but nothing that um has, like, I haven't seen a full-blown apparition or
Yeah.
watch something fly across the room. But gee, I'd really like to. I would really like to. It's a little bit creepy, bit scary in the sense that in that realm, and this is why I haven't done any paranormal investigations. Uh, spirits said to be able to attach to you as a person, and I believe, I suppose it comes down to what we believe, really, because what we believe becomes real. Yeah. Um, I believe that
Sure.
uh, people get followed, things attach, like energy. It's because it's all energy.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was the long answer to that question.
No, that's
I
a great answer.
I love otherworldly stuff. I
It's
love
intriguing.
that.
Okay, so you have had some paranormal things happening to yourself?
I've had some really strange experiences.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why do you want to hear one?
Yeah.
All right, I'll tell you. When I was about 14, I lived with my mum and my siblings,
Yeah.
and it was, I don't know, some weeknight, and I was in the kitchen just doing some washing up. And mum walked into the kitchen and she said something to me, and I turned her and I said, "Oh, pardon, what was that? I didn't quite hear you." And there was nobody there. And then um, another night in the same house. I guess when I said I haven't seen a full-blown apparition, maybe I have, I don't know. You tell me, you be the judge. I was watching something on TV and it was emotional, and I was crying. The scene was sad. I was crying, and mum's in the doorway. She's going, "Why are you crying?" And I got really annoyed. I said, it's just the show, mum. And I looked up and there was nobody there. And I thought, that's really odd. So I got up and she was fast asleep.
Wow.
Yeah, she was snoring.
Hmm.
And like we did not live in a big house, so
Yeah.
the lounge room was really, I guess, it was really like another bedroom. It was another shut off room, and they were next door to one another.
Yeah.
So I went out one doorway and into the other. So even if she was sleepwalking, she wouldn't have had time to get back into her bed without me seeing her get back into bed. Because when I walked in, it'd be like she'd just been asleep the whole time. And I was like, okay, that's weird. And yeah, so that those two things are the standouts. I know that I've had a couple of others, but like I was in a seance, and we were all um, doing our seancey things. All my mates will remember this because we were all together. Hi, guys. And I asked it a question that only I knew the answer to, that
Yeah.
no one else in the room knew the answer to. And it was my grandfather's initials and how old he was when he died.
Hmm.
And both were on point. And there was nobody in that room that had any idea, because I never talked about my grandparents. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
who did? I was too busy doing things and having fun to talk about my grandparents, let alone their initials and when they died. So
Yeah.
that was pretty cool. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. And I guess I did have a couple of experiences. Oh my God, they're all flooding back now. When I lived in a house in Beverly Hills, actually, my son, I'm going to get him to go on the podcast to come on and discuss it, actually, because we had a few experiences in that. Oh, I just remembered another one. See, you get me started on this. This is why I'm doing a
This is
podcast.
great. This is great.
uh yeah, I will tell this story because it is so, I can't even put words. So we were living in this house that I just mentioned with my son and my daughter, and my son and his friends had gone out, and it was actually a big house,
Yeah.
really big house, probably about, I don't know, 30, 40 meters in length from one
Yeah.
end of the house to the other.
Yeah.
So it was massive. And I was in the top lounge room, and it was all dark. The whole house was dark,
Yeah.
and watching TV with my daughter. And it was just her and I.
Yeah.
And she said, Mummy. And I went, she was maybe about 3. She would have been 2 or 3. She said, Mummy. And I went, yes, darling. And she pointed to a place in the room. She said, who's that? And I went, who? She said, that person. Who's that person? And I looked, I said, there's no one there, darling. And who are you seeing? And then she just completely clammed up. She went,
Wow.
nope, nope, nope. And I went, okay. So I didn't press her on it. So that was really strange.
That is strange. Well, you've got heaps of examples.
Yeah, I do, but there's lots more. Gosh, my brother, when I get him on, oh
Yeah.
my God,
Yeah.
that's something to tune into. Number one, because he's got an incredibly deep voice that is ripe for a podcast.
Yeah.
Actually, I might even convince him to do this with me. Um, but he's got some phenomenal stories. But I'm going to save them for when the podcast is launched, because
Oh,
I
yeah.
love those stories. So yeah, so that's exciting for me. I'm loving that. Yeah,
That's great.
yeah,
So when
exciting.
are you launching that officially?
Probably in
Or
about 3 weeks. I want to
3
get
weeks?
maybe a little bit. I'm going to give myself 30 days because
Right.
I want to record a few different interviews before
Great.
we launch.
You heard
And
it right here on the Ethical Affiliate.
yes, what's the date today?
Heard it
I'm going to
first.
call it,
I have
right?
no
I'm
idea. It's the
setting
8th.
a launch date for Spooky Whispers.
So roughly the 8th of
No,
May, Spooky Whispers will be
I
launched.
will. Yes, I'm going to choose it right now. Okay, so Friday, the 3rd of May will be when Spooky Whispers premieres.
Excellent. Friday the 3rd of May. All right. Available on all your usual favourite podcast
It
apps.
will be by then. Yes, and there'll be a website and merch and all that other fun stuff.
Excellent.
Ooh, can't wait.
Well done. Well, we have gone off track if we had a track at all. That's fantastic.
Indeed. So it's your turn to talk now, bud.
Well, I've never had any paranormal experiences, seeing we are on that theme slightly. But I have had a lot of synchronistic experiences.
Oh yeah,
And
to tell.
so other than, if you want to talk about paranormal or above normal or out of normal, it's, they're definitely in there, but not what you're talking about. Just things like, and I've got a list of them. I keep a record of them because that generally makes me have more. But just silly things like the other day, I was just randomly had YouTube on, and there's no warning or anything. But I thought I was driving along thinking, wow, I haven't heard about Susie Quattro. She's still going, and I loved her music back in the day. And the next song on that was Susie Quattro.
No way.
Or even today, I was listening to a comedian, and he mentioned something like, and I hadn't heard Susie Quattro for ages, and I heard the song Devil Gate Drive, I think it was, and I thought,
Love
well, that's
it.
pretty. When you hear it now, it's pretty basic, but yeah, it was great at the time. But a comedian was on today, an English guy, and he was in an interview, and he talked about, I think it doesn't matter what the word was, but he said something about Coronet something, and I looked up when I was in Coronet Street.
No way.
Yeah, and another one happened, just actually the same thing. Someone mentioned it because I don't listen to the radio. I was listening to YouTube, and I looked up and I was in the street name again. That's twice the street names happened.
Wow.
And it was such a bizarre, like, how does that even happen? Because, because I didn't know how to continue that sentence, because it was like, well, that's incredible.
That's crazy
So
synchronous.
there's stuff like that. And I think I told you the one actually a bit more related to what you were talking about was like, I went for a walk with a dog, another dog, it's another house sitting dog. And I was thinking about it was a little bit of wind blowing in the trees. And I was thinking about, because of the poetry thing I do, it's like I was thinking about wind spirits, and I looked up and there was in the tree, like Casper the Ghost, there was this plastic that was waving around in the tree. And
Oh,
it's like
wow.
that, that ghost, that ghosty
Yeah.
floating hands and
I
the
do
floating.
remember you mentioning that. That's
Yeah, and it
amazing.
was just like, wow, there's a wind spirit right there. That's not what I was actually thinking of, but a lot of that stuff happens, and I don't know what I don't know what that is. I've tapped into something, but I don't know what that is. I suppose is what I'm saying. Um, but not in the way of a past life, or well, I don't think so. Or a person. I've never had that experience.
Mm.
So I mean, I think there's a lot of things that we're yet to discover about life. That's we get all
There's
these little
so
things.
much more than what we see, isn't there?
There's so much more, yeah. And as science. Well, I was going to say, as science discovers more, we're starting to break down those walls. But of course, traditional culture talked about a lot of this stuff years ago, but there was no
Mm.
way of proving it, so to speak, or the need that we have now to prove it in our Western mind.
Mm.
I
Have
feel,
you,
I feel we've gone.
no, you go.
No, I feel that we've. I was writing about this in my journal the other day, that we have made some extraordinary. Our Western way of science and thinking has made some extraordinary discoveries, and to be honest, we wouldn't be in the way we live now wouldn't have happened. The safety and the security that we do have. I know it's hard for some people, but we've got rid of a lot of diseases and a lot of things due to the way Western mind thinks. The rational science mind.
Mm.
But I
Mm.
also feel we've kind of delayed, because we're kind of coming around to thinking about it the way, actually, what Einstein said may not be entirely the truth, not as in he's lying, but we're now discovering that things are breaking down in those laws. We're reaching different areas. And so we kind of delayed that because of the way we were thinking, and then
Mm.
everything has to be proved and we've got to measure it and all that. And that's great. But we blocked, I think in some ways we blocked ourselves off to thinking about a different way of that life might be quite different to what we think it is.
Well, isn't that our pineal gland? Hasn't that shrunk in size? And wasn't that once bigger and robust, and we were more in tune as a species? But look, I would put that down to a certain amount of evolution too, because we don't, as technology's evolved and as we have evolved, we don't need to have those instincts as switched on as we used to, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
and but in actual fact, when you think about it, we actually need to be more switched on now than ever. So
Yeah. Yeah.
there's a real conflict there between the two, because we can get
Yes.
so comfortable in what's around us, which is a comfort that they didn't have back in the caveman days.
That's it.
Survival was a lot harder, but at the same time, we're capable of so much more now that really to stay in our comfort zone is where we go to just shrivel up and die. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
not that. I don't mean to sound so bleak about that, but I guess what I mean is we need to be more connected now than ever, because it's so easy to stay in one spot and look at the world through a screen. You know what I mean? So it's more important now that we stay in touch with that side of ourselves that gets us outside and gets us,
I totally agree.
our senses.
We're either going to enter an age where we really discover who we are, and because we now have the capabilities, because we don't have to, we don't, well, most of us don't have to fight off saber tigers and, predators and all this sort of thing to survive. All that stuff's being taken care of us. I mean, it is relatively to where we were 10,000 years ago, that the opportunity is there to explore what we are really capable of in many different ways, and stepping out of this physical, into the paranormal, or, what consciousness is out there. And so
Mm,
we've either got that opportunity, or we can just be led by AI and sit around and watch screens all the time. So
mm,
some will
mm.
and some won't. I suppose that's what's probably going to happen.
Yeah. It's funny how it's all connected though. Like I know I was speaking earlier on about otherworldly and
Yeah.
but really it's connected and they're all parallel, you
Yeah.
know. We're in layers, I believe. I believe anyway. We're in absolute layers of reality. And that would explain really like oddities. And I mean true oddities. Like, get this. And I don't know if anyone out there who's listening has ever noticed this, probably not because it's so friggin' obscure.
Yeah.
Um, you know the show Happy Days.
Yep. Of course.
Now, in the opening credits where the neon light flashes Happy Days,
Mhm.
have you ever seen it say Happy Days again? The words Happy Days again.
Happy days again?
Yeah.
No. No.
Okay, so I've seen that twice, right, on TV. And twice that I've seen it on TV, it has struck me and I've gone, that is really weird. Am I seeing that right? Happy Days again. Now, I have trolled through every single start of every single Happy Days episode that I could possibly get my hands on,
And none
not
of it do it.
once, not
Really?
once. So if there is an explanation, if anyone has any who's still around that has anything to do with Happy Days, please, can you tell me, was that real or is that does that exist in a parallel universe? Because that's odd,
I
right? And
can't
have you
imagine.
explained things that go missing and then you find them exactly where you'd looked like several times before?
That is odd.
Yeah.
There's often a physical explanation for stuff like that, but then I think we're just reaching for an excuse and not really.
Oh, so you think that we've got like situational blindness and we didn't see the very
I
thing
think
that was.
sometimes because of the reticular activating system in the back of our heads, well, the other way is we're designed so we can just focus on several things and not trillion bits of information coming in. So that's
Yeah.
why, when you think about red cars, you'll see a red car. There's a valid explanation for that, but I'm not saying that's how the lost keys sort of situation happens, but it could be. Sometimes there's perhaps a rational explanation, although when you think about it, that's pretty hard to work out. Why would we block out the very thing we're looking for? But it's possible.
Oh, yeah, I think it does
But
happen.
I think there's something greater than what I'll go back to what I was saying before. I think there's something far greater than our physical presence that most of us haven't tapped into yet.
Yeah.
That's where these kind of leakages, the paranormal leakage, the seeing the ghost in the tree stuff breaks that boundary that we thought we have. And
Yeah.
I said to you a while ago, there's, on a very deep level in matter, there's actually no real border between our bodies and the air and the next thing along, because it's on
No.
that level, it's all space. So, we can bump into things, obviously, but on a very tiny scale, it's just
Mm.
air, just space. So that's where that leakage may come through. I don't know.
Mm.
It's a
It's a
whole.
fascinating subject. It's
It's.
fascinating to look into it, you know. Don't even
I
get me.
think it is for many people. I think most people don't want to know about it, but it's. I am fascinated by it. I think there's a lot, because I'm searching for more to life than what just
Meaning.
the normal sort of stuff, like you are, like you're talking about.
Yeah, meaning
Yeah.
something wonderful, I guess, and fantastical. You
So
know what
here's
I mean?
here's a thing, just before we change subjects, if we want to, that things can't travel faster than light. Well, that's what Einstein said.
Yeah.
So, and everyone's been agreeing with that. It's been a law for a long time, a long time. But there's things that are happening that they're discovering that you can't, unless you break that law, you can't explain it. And so for example, this thing called, I think it's superposition, or is it the other one? Anyway, doesn't matter. Someone will call me out on it. But there's a thing where a particle can instantly, when a butterfly, you heard that expression, when a butterfly flaps its wings, there'll be a hurricane on the other side of the world.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
sort of thing. But further than that, there's particles that they've measured. Obviously, can't measure it because it's so far, but they've done the theoretical work on it, where the particle will match the alternate position of a particle they're observing here, but it'll do it billions and billions of light years away at the same time.
Oh, wow.
So unless you say, well, there must be some form of communication faster than the speed of light. So
Yeah.
therefore, there's things that do travel faster than the speed of light, but we just got our head wrapped around this thing that nothing can travel faster than the speed of light. And so
And it blocks everything else out.
when we start breaking down that sort of throwing up our hands, which obviously, I'm not a scientist, but people will be going, what if that wasn't a fact at all? It's like, okay, that opens up a whole new field of like possibilities that we just, and I think AI will actually speed up, well, not I think, it will speed up this process of discovery. Like, and it'll be amazing to go, well, actually, all the stuff that we knew, because that's how it's been for decades, hundreds and thousands of years, is now being broken down and we're learning new stuff. So, we're always learning new stuff.
Yeah, we are.
There's rarely anything was the same 100 years ago that's the same now. It's like, so why would we think we humans tend to think it's fixed and it's never going to change and that's what it is, but it's not.
Evolution is continual. We never stop evolving. We never stop learning. Not even, when we die, our physical body evolves into something else.
Yeah.
Or dissolves or becomes a part. It just changes form.
And yet everything, I think it's almost the same thing. Everything gets renewed in 8 years, I think it is.
7 years, all of our cells get renewed. Well,
and yet we're
cells are still producing the same wrinkles.
And we're still in effect the same consciousness 8 years later.
Yeah.
Although
I think because over time our cells renew, I would imagine. I mean, can you imagine having your cells renewing all at the same time? That's insane.
But yet you're the same person. How does that work? What's the consciousness that's holding that together?
Well, that's the thing, right? Exactly.
Everything's changed. Everything changes. Everything changes. Yet you're still you. Or are you?
Right.
I don't know.
But we can change too.
Yeah. It's
on a dime if we want. And it's interesting how so much easier to change for the worse than the better.
Oh, that's a challenging statement. It's so much easier to change for the worse than the better. Yeah. What's an example of that?
Look at the world. Look at the world. Look at how we live our lives. How many of us make good choices for ourselves on a daily basis, like all the time, and live a healthy, productive life? How many of us?
Yeah.
I don't know anyone, maybe you.
Of course.
You look after yourself physically, but who, and emotionally, no doubt. And who, but how many of us make good decisions for ourselves every day? It's so easy to let life slide. That's why people struggle so much to make their lives good. But why?
Why is it easy to do that than improve yourself, if that's what you want to look at it?
Because to let things slide is to do nothing. And it's easier to do nothing than it is to do something. And people would much rather the hard of doing nothing than the hard of doing something, because ultimately it's safer, but it's what kills them in the end. You know what I mean? Like, this is, why? Why is it so much harder for us to do nothing when really it's not? Maybe in the moment, it's harder for us to do something, rather. In the moment, it's easy to do nothing, but collectively when we do nothing, we live a really empty life that is in a, either looking at a screen or staring at it, or we need, void of, stimuli. I mean, but what constitutes doing nothing too? Like that's a whole other conversation.
Well,
Maybe we
I,
should,
I,
Tim, I've had an idea. Maybe we should change the podcast from the ethical affiliate to the ethical
human.
philosopher.
Well, isn't it a fundamental law that, things break down? What is it? The law of something, not apathy, but it could be apathy.
And
Given
for every
time,
action, there is an equal and
no,
opposite.
no. Given time, everything breaks down. So it obviously requires effort, it requires effort to stop that happening. So because we're lazy, then eventually things go to hell.
Are we lazy? Do you think that's laziness? Do you think that's laziness?
Well, in terms of we need to do something to stop that happening. So it's so easy. If you said, well, I've got to do something to stop it happening, or I just sit here and do nothing, that's the easiest way, and that's why things break down, because you've got to put effort into doing something all the time. And most people, for some reason, we choose. I think I'm getting back to your original sort of concept, which you're talking about. For some reason, we choose to just let things fall apart than actually make an effort. I don't know why the reason for that is. You'd think
why is it easier? Why is it easier
Yeah.
Well, yes, but it's easier to let things like that go. Yet when it comes to grief and trauma, that's what we hold on to.
Yeah.
So why is that? Why are we conditioned that way?
I don't know. We kind of are. We're driven to survive, obviously, as a species, but we're not driven to thrive so much. Or maybe what we call thrive nowadays. We're just driven to keep ourselves safe, and that's it.
It's a survival. It really comes down to survival instinct.
It's more just survival. Yeah. That's our line, and then above that requires a lot of effort.
Because doing nothing keeps us safe.
Well, that's true too.
That's the theory. That's the thought. Anyway, doing nothing keeps me safe. If I don't do anything, I'll be safe. But that's not actually true either, because if the ground is quaking beneath you, doing nothing's not going to keep you safe. And you can apply that to your life obviously as a metaphor as well,
Doing nothing. Well, we'll do things. Well, that's back to survival again. We'll obviously take action when we need to avoid an earthquake or tornado or something. But then when that stops, we revert back to ease, and we won't. Then it's not survival for you and I, or speaking for myself, to learn something about how life works requires effort, but it's not a survival thing. So a lot of people don't bother with that, because it's not really. We're going into the area where it's just like, I'd like to do that, but it won't help me survive. I'm not going to die if I don't do it. And so your point's very true, very valid, because it's easy for most people to sit around and watch TV, because everything else is like a bit of a challenge. And I guess
why is that? And you're right, it does come down to survival. It's that core instinct.
Yeah, if I go and do something, start a business, maybe I'll die. That's what our brains are probably thinking.
Yeah.
Or the tribe more importantly, the tribe will dislike me. My spouse, my husband, wife, or my friends will start, commenting, or they want to keep me in the tribe. What are you looking at me like that for?
No, I'm thinking about what you're saying, contemplating what you're saying. My mind is ticking away as you say these words.
So that is a scary thing. That is about survival. It's not physical survival, but in our heads, it's like, if I leave the tribe, I'm going to die, which you would 1,000 years ago.
Back in the day, but not so much now.
Easy, yeah. You couldn't survive.
Yeah, we're so much more emotional now, really, though. Emotionally driven, aren't we?
Yeah. How do you mean?
But I mean, well, we don't want to face certain emotions, but I guess does it come down to
That's true.
To survival too? Survival of the mind? I don't know, like.
Yeah, well, actually, true. We're driven not to experience some emotions, I suppose, aren't we? We don't want to
like we don't want to, we don't want to face our traumas. We don't want to face our grief. We'd rather bury it and get on with distracting ourselves, like for the most part, people, you know, and this is myself included, will complain about their lives, but still it's the age-old thing. You complain about your life, but you don't actually do anything to change it,
until it gets to the point where it's in your head, probably you're thinking this is now a question of survival, not in the I'm going to be killed by a tiger situation, but
yes,
you know what I
yeah,
mean? You've raised it to the level. This is why we put decisions off for so long, that we raised the level. It's like, okay, now it's time. I've got to change because I'm going to die. I'm holding my fingers in
yeah,
quotes. I'm not going
yeah.
to survive.
Mm.
And then we make the change. But meantime, we suffer for months, years, decades, because it hasn't reached that level of pain, I suppose.
Now, why is this? Now, why? Why do we have to get to that freaking stage of pain? What is it about us
I think
that
we're optimistic. We're optimistic that it's going to work out.
I
I
don't
don't know.
know? Yeah, there's optimism, and then there's like, oh my God, the fucking horse is dead. Do you not know this?
That's right.
Like,
That's right. How long can we walk?
um,
Stuart Wilde used to say, "There's a dead elephant in the hallway," and everyone just
my my point is like, what is it? It's fear, and you know what? No matter which way we look at it, whether it's physical or
yeah,
emotional, it comes down to survival.
yeah. And whichever
And
way you
when,
go,
when
you've got to
you think
face the
about
fear.
that, you think, what is it about death that's so scary that people want to stay alive, and they'll go to great lengths to live a miserable life just so they can stay alive? Like,
Yeah. Oh, that's true.
that's insane.
That's true.
What is wrong with us? Not what is wrong with us. What are we lacking? More to the point.
Yeah, yeah.
What are we lacking? Why are we denying ourselves? Oh, it's so bloody complex.
Well, we are and we aren't. I think we're right, but I mean, I think it just gets back to fear again, doesn't it? We're fearful of so
Mhm.
many things that it drives us to not do things or to do things, and
Mwah. Hello.
we're such a young species. We're such a young species. I mean, we're just
Yeah, we are.
we're
We are.
just not even puberty yet. I mean, we think we are. I mean, really, we're just
Evolution, yeah,
most adults still act like children, don't they? Let's face it.
I do. Tim, I think we need to actually have a separate podcast to the affiliate. I reckon we may have stumbled onto something here, probably what we should have done from the get-go. But this is good. I want to do more of this.
Okay. Well, we
Don't
can.
get me wrong, I love the ethical affiliate. It's great, but
Well,
I
we
want
can.
to do more of this.
Okay,
This is more fun.
we can do several things. We can run. We will continue the ethical affiliate. We've got
Of
lots of
course we will.
planned. And we can
Ethical
do
affiliate,
these
W,
random things,
WT.
or we can have a who knows what we'll think about a special podcast
We'll
after
have
you
tea, and then there'll be tea time.
get oh, I like that.
There you go. You heard it here first.
You sit down with a cup of tea and discuss life.
Yeah, tea time. So there's tea and there's tea time. Write it down. Write it down. It's all right. We've got it recorded.
I will. No, I'll probably forget that. Tea time. Right.
Yeah.
Oh, I
That'll
love it.
probably take off more than the ethical affiliate. No, I'm kidding. We love tea. Tea is why we're here, and it's who we are.
We can definitely build something
We
around tea time.
are the ethical affiliates.
We can definitely build something around tea time. Well, I think that's probably enough for people.
You think
I'm
they've
happy
had
to keep
enough?
going.
Okay, no worries. Let us know in the comments.
Well,
You've been
thank
reading
you. Should we
anything
discuss?
fun? What you been
Well,
reading?
let's because it's such a different podcast. I won't even ask you what you've been reading or anything.
Oh
We
my
can-
God, I was just asking you what you were reading.
Oh, sorry. I'm reading. I'm actually. I'm not reading. I'm watching an animated thing. I talked about Alex Hormozy last week,
Uh-huh.
and I've actually gone back. So he's got two books out. One's about leads. One's about. Oh my God, what is it? Sales. I think it's about sales. Why would leads have come out after sales? Anyway, forget that. But I've actually found an animated description of the book, which goes for about half an hour, and it is phenomenal. It is phenomenal.
Send me
The
the link,
animation is
please.
phenomenal. What's that?
Send me is it on YouTube?
Yes, I'll send you the link.
Send me
It is
put it in the show
phenomenal.
notes.
It's great information, but also the way this guy's put this together is just like it's a work of art. So I will send you that link, and for people listening, you can just look up Alex Hormozi $100 million leads animated, or you'll probably find it. But I'll send you the link because I've got it here.
Beautiful.
So that's what I've been watching several times and making notes and stuff like that. And it's just like, wow, this is really clever.
Bit of a game changer, mate.
How about you? What have you been doing? Been up to anything lately?
Yeah, well, I just did another coaching container with Luke Hawkins, and that went really well.
Awesome.
So I'm looking forward to putting all of that stuff into practice. And what else have I been doing? I've been listening to Harry Styles. I love Harry Styles.
Harry Styles.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I love his music. It speaks to me, you know. And I love the sound of his voice. I think he's got a great voice, and yeah, his music makes me happy. So
Nice.
yeah, that's what I've been listening to a lot. I go through phases with artists.
Yeah,
where
sure.
I'll listen to like I listen to I listen to Taylor Swift, Cruel Summer. Like,
Oh, sorry. I'll bleep that out.
she's wonderful. I love her. I think she's such a wonderful role model for young girls all over the world.
Yeah.
And she's had to fight a lot of criticism and yeah, anyway, won't go. That's a whole other episode. Yeah, I'll go through phases with my artists, and Harry is the flavor of the month at the moment. But I keep going back to him. Yeah.
I'm just making a note we'll do a music podcast as well. No, that's just joking.
Oh, great. Yeah, let's do it.
When we do tea time, we could do what have you been listening to lately? That's music.
What a great idea. And we should get guest artists, musicians to come and have a chat.
Wow,
what a great idea.
Let's
do that. That's
a separate
podcast.
Time. Is that a separate podcast, or is that?
No, that'll just be tea time. Once a month, we'll get a musical guest to come in.
Right.
There you go. Again, see hearing it on the podcast.
Hang on. What happened to the philosophical discussion? How does that fit in?
We can do it all, Tim. We do it all.
Right. Okay.
One week, one episode a month, we have a musical.
Oh, I see. Gotcha.
The other times we just rabbit on about whatever we want.
Yeah.
Which is kind of what we do.
We could call it rabbit time.
We're pretty good at
that. Rabbit time. Right. Great.
All right.
That's it. Thank you, listener.
Thank you, listeners.
Listening. I will. I've got one behind on the uploading the YouTube channel because of the technological problems I was having. So I will be uploading last week's and this week's in the next day or so. And Beautiful. This one will go up today, no doubt. It's actual audio podcast.
Sounds good.
Thank you, Ida.
Thank you for your work, Tim.
That's all right. You're welcome. Thank you for being an amazing co-host to bounce ideas off. Who doesn't?
Likewise, my friend.
You can talk back instead of going, "Oh, I don't know." That would not be. We wouldn't have got this far.
Have an issue with me is shutting me up. I don't know when to shut up. I mean, that's evident when people listen to this.
That's sort of a good problem to have in a way. That's better than someone who sits there and you've got to keep talking because they've just got nothing to offer. So, thank you.
Yeah, that'd be pulling teeth. Oh. All right, beautiful.
Thanks, guys.
See you guys all next week. We'll hear you next week, or actually, you'll hear us
next week. And we have a special guest the following week? Yes, we do. An overseas guest who's in the affiliate marketing game, been there for a long time.
Yes,
who I respect greatly for a lot of the work he's doing.
Yeah,
and honest and just so much value. So
beautiful. I can't wait. Awesome. All right. Well, we'll talk. You and I, I'm sure, will talk several times before the next podcast. Everyone else you'll hear us next week sometime. Ciao, ciao.